Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. I hope everyone had a wonderful Father's Day weekend. $3.46 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's up 0.1%. Bitcoin, 106,000 plus. Ethereum, 2,600 plus. XRP right now, $2.26. Now, we're up 4.7 on the 24. We're off 0.3 on the 7-day. But 2.1 of the 4.7 is in the last hour. So head on a swivel. 226 range between 215 and 227. We will keep an eye on it. Quick reminder right here. You know the markets freeze up during bull cycles. We've all seen it if you've been here. But you get human customer service. You can speak to your own personal prime broker. Set your market orders correctly so you make sure that you get the cash out that you're looking for, the exit you're looking for. It's Caleb and Brown, ladies and gentlemen, and you can start getting the best night's sleep since you've been in crypto if you just go to XRPWealth589.com and open up your free account today. That's XRPWealth589.com. I know you're driving, working. That's an easy way to remember it. XRPWealth589.com. and get your free account. You won't believe it. And the human customer service that comes with it is remarkable. Yeah, you guys know I'm on multiple exchanges, and this is one of them. I love them. Check them out for yourself. Brazilian MP moves to axe Bitcoin taxes. Deputy Eros Bayandini, I don't know if I did. I just train wrecked the hell out of that. Sorry, Eros. Has introduced an amendment to eliminate capital gains taxes on Bitcoin, championing self-custody. He says, we will not accept this absurdity. Bitcoin is not a speculative investment. It's savings, he says. Big things happening around the world, ladies and gentlemen. Just like Brazil also has launched a stable coin on the XRP Ledger. I want to remind everybody again about how the proliferation of the XRP Ledger is happening right before our eyes. Multiple Euro stable coins. Again, USDB, Braza Group in Brazil. US-backed Brazilian bonds target high-performance FX and remittance activity. Like I said, 2 in stable coins in Europe. You got the Singapore XSGD that's recently been launched. Real USD, USDC. This is what we're going to see, a continued proliferation of stable coins and central bank digital currencies from around the world showing up on the XRP Ledger. This is mass adoption. This is what real-time adoption looks like. And 2 days, says Simon McLaughlin, the CEO of Uphold. Shout out to him and Dr. Martin Heisboik from Uphold as well. The final Senate vote on the Genius Act is tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow. History being made tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. How cool is that? Then you have this. We're still wondering if this is the most recent language to the bill or not. Now, according to Smokedog and Signum.com, this is the recent language unless it's changed since March. And I know that they've had multiple amendments, so I'm putting this up just as much to cite what it did say as to we need to find out what it's going to say when it's finally passed tomorrow. A new stablecoin bill introduced in the U.S. Senate in April would encourage U.S. banks to issue stablecoins and disadvantage non-bank stablecoin issuers and non-U.S. entities such as Tether. So we have to see when they pass the bill tomorrow, is that language still in the bill? And what do we ultimately know? I think Monica Long says it best right here.
It feels like the floodgates are going to open this year.
Yep. Starting tomorrow. Because the reality is we know that it's not just a stablecoin bill. We need the market infrastructure bill. We need the tax bill. But getting the stablecoin bill passed tomorrow sets the tone for the rest of this year to get everything else done, because one doesn't work without the other. And Congress knows that now better than they ever have. So I think it gets done. Meanwhile, I want you to listen to Blackrock COO has said that Bitcoin and crypto will replace traditional capital markets. Well, isn't this interesting? You don't say. And obviously the BlackRock COO, right? Take a listen.
What advice would you give to, sort of the rest of the financial universe that are thinking about getting into this space now?
It's a great question. I think from our lens, it's what I'm going to say is going to be very simple. Executing it is extremely hard. So I recognize that. But to us, it's very basic. You basically have a new set of exposures. Mm-hmm. The real utility in Unlock is to be able to put them in the whole portfolio. And interestingly enough, I think you could turn the telescope around also and say, ultimately, how do you put these capital markets exposures in digital wallets? And how do you go? So if you think about the bridge strategy of this alternate digital asset universe and bringing it to the capital markets.
I love how he calls it this bridge strategy.
I think it's naive to assume, and this doesn't have to be in a month, but if you look out over time, it's naive to assume that you don't also have to think through how do you bring the traditional capital markets to this alternative universe.
What a great question. How do you bring the traditional capital markets to this alternative digital universe? You know what? I think we can handle that. One is you bring one of the biggest liquidity providers, Citibank, together with Swift, the biggest messaging platform for finance, and you bring those together and incorporate Ripple with it, right? And we know that that's happening. We also know that Citi, one of the largest liquidity providers, has chosen Medico right here for their custody solution. So we're in there. Then you have the reminder of how do you get those traditional capital markets into the new digital on-chain economy? That bridge, it's XRPLedger, baby. DTCC, which clears the entire stock market. Remember, Securrency bought, converted to digital assets at the DTCC, and obviously has the ability to integrate the use of different protocols like EOS, Ethereum, Ripple, and other protocols on their network now, along with legacy systems. So that is one of the biggest clearing houses in the world, if not the biggest clearing house and settlement house in the world. Remember that I said that. Remember, Ripple is building the new Wall Street, because that was what it was meaning to talk about the acquisition of Hidden Road, which is settling $3 trillion a year plus in clearing and settlement, a smaller version of the DTCC. And don't forget that we know ISO going really full steam July 14th, 1 month, 1 month from now, essentially. So this is how you bridge, speaking to the BlackRock COO. We're watching that bridge happen. How about the biggest bridge of all? Tokenizing U.S. treasuries onto the XRP ledger. Yeah, that is the United States government's debt when you're talking about the bond market. And when you tokenize that and put it on chain, now you're talking about the biggest validation to the rest of the world, the biggest endorsement to the rest of the world that the XRP ledger is in fact the place to be, the layer one. The ledger of all ledgers. Right? I said this over the weekend. Financial Stability Board warns that cryptocurrency is nearing a tipping point towards systemic risk. And I say, you know what? Systemic risk equals systemically important. It is the Dodd-Frank Act that gave us the ability to deem things systemically important, as you can see, whether it's a financial market utility or a financial market infrastructure known as a systemically important financial market utility or systemically important financial market infrastructure. SIFMU or SIFME is the acronym. But I wanted to remind people, even if you've heard me talk about this years past, look at what gets the designation of a systemically important designation. It's all clearinghouses, including the Depository Trust Company. And if you remember, we have connections there. Ripple Labs. Remember when Michael S. Barr, as advisor from the U.S. Treasury Department, was brought on as an advisor? Remember that? Do you also remember Director Gene Sperling, including former National Economic Council Director Gene Sperling, former State Department official Anya Manuel, or how about former CEO of the DTCC, Donald Donahue, back in 2015? Yeah, if you've been here a minute, you know this. You may have forgotten. All of this is extremely relevant today, and there were people for years telling us that we weren't even allowed to talk about this anymore because it was old news and an old narrative. And they are the ones that are wrong. They are the ones on the wrong side of history here. The United States government is allowing Ondo Finance, in conjunction with Blackrock and Ripple and the XRP Ledger, to tokenize their debt onto the actual XRPL. Come on in. Come on in. Now, we know that there was a talk about 14% in the next 5 years captured from SWIFT volume. That was said by Brad Garlinghouse at Apex. And it was speculative, let's be honest. But nonetheless, shout out to him for taking a stab at it. And I asked here, obviously what was the breakdown? And it says SWIFT basically does on average about 2.8 trillion daily, right? And then it gives larger numbers. But I said, let's just go ahead and put this in. So what's 14% of 2.8 trillion daily? Well, it's 392 billion. So I put 0.392 billion for daily transactions. Daily transactions, just 14%. And we could be staring down the barrel of a $417.36 XRP if that 14% adoption rate of SWIFT happens in the next 5 years in a car loan. And then I said, well, why not just run the whole 2.8 trillion? What will we have? 2.8 trillion, getting all of that, not just 14%, but doing 100% of that for SWIFT daily. We'd be looking at somewhere around a $574 XRP and 59 cents. That's where we're sitting today. And that's how you bridge traditional finance into the new digital on-chain economy. Because the reality is make no mistake about it. And he says it best. Let's get him to say it. Let's hear Greg Kidd say it. Check it out.
I've never seen in all my time since being in payments, in crypto, the planets aligned as well as they are now. And so amazing things are happening. We couldn't be more excited to be able to finally, take everything that's on the ledger has a crypto address and a bank account routing number. Mm-hmm. It's not like there's this and this and they, it's one ledger, dual addressed. It's like in the old days, they used to have CDMA and GSM phone. Somebody finally said, why don't you just make the phones do both? Or 110 volt, 220. Now everything is one thing. But the ledger of record, make no mistake, is a crypto ledger like the XRP ledger. Mm-hmm. I've never seen in all
there
my
you
time
go.
Since being in
I
payments.
just wanted you to have that. Make no mistake. The ledger of record, make no mistake, is a crypto ledger like the XRP ledger. That's what we're talking about here. And when people beat us up because the XRP price hasn't moved, I say to everyone, just you wait until the biggest catalyst for digital assets goes through. It's the United States government passing legislation for digital assets. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the Freedom Zone. You could follow us too. All you have to do is click the join button under any title of the video or go in the description box and join us in Patreon. Same price, same perks. All your daily videos, zero Google ads, plus extra content. And boy, are we going to get into it today. We are going to get into it today. I hope you will join us. I mean, the assassinations and things that are happening now politically are becoming too common and too often, and we're about to jump into that inside the Freedom Zone. You're going to want to not miss it. I hope you will join us. Again, not financial advice from me or anyone else. Come on in. All right.